Hi, Jim. How you doing?
Hey, I'm good. Good morning, guys. How are you guys doing?
Sorry, we're just a tad bit late here. We were having a heck of a time there with chatting with Mike Everett. He was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Hey, I listened in. I do not blame you at all. You could have stayed as long as you wanted to talking with him. I would not have minded one bit. I know you guys had a little bit. I was listening in. Had a little bit of technical difficulty with some sound on his side, but it was still fabulous, still great. I noticed the numbers were still up, and I think everyone got a great takeaway from Mike this morning.
Good. So you could hear us pretty well, and you can hear him as well.
Yeah, I did. You know, there were just when you heard him well, but there was just a little bit in and out, and I think that just sometimes is the technology of Zoom and being on Wi-Fi and things. I suspect there are going to be a few glitches throughout the day. I'm sure when you guys were doing your missions in the Marines, not everything went just quite perfectly, right? So.
Perfect.
Yeah.
And comm worked all the time.
Every time you had a good communication. Every mission I did in Afghanistan went off. No, not at all. That's why at best at the end, you always learn. You always learn. You always have things that go on and you learn from them and all that, which is part of this online summit thing. Things will happen. But
well, we appreciate the community. Appreciate you guys doing this for everyone. It's quite impressive what you're trying to accomplish today. 8 speakers throughout the day. Really a lot of great subjects, from MLB umpires to college umpires, Little League World Series umpires, all your groups you work with from 22 until none and the Simplify or America's Fund. I can't wait to hear the testimonials later on the day from Kyle and Clayton. I mean, it's just really kind of an impressive day. I hope everyone has called in and told their bosses they're not working today. They're going to be listening in to the Wounded Warrior Umpire Academy summit. I think it's just really neat what you're doing, and I think it's bringing a lot of eyeballs to really seeing what the Wounded Umpire Academy is all about. I know, Greg, you and I talked about this a lot last week on our pre-summit call, and it's so much more than what you think, and that's the thing that I want to be the takeaway.
Yeah. And another great thing that I want to bring up is that the Wounded Warrior Umpire Academy wouldn't be where they're at, right, without this man right here.
That's fact.
That's fact.
That's a fact.
Oh wow!
From day one, we made that call, and it was like passing around the rooms, like who's going to call these guys and ask for the world. And I'm not sure who got the short end of that stick. Was it Tim Hatfield that made that first call? To somebody made that call, and the important thing is that Jim said, absolutely, I'm in, I'm all in, full in.
Yeah.
And from that,
I think it was Dan Weichel. I think Dan Weichel was one of the first people that I talked to, and Greg, you were not far behind in that conversation. I know that Dan called and kind of softened me up, and then Greg came in for the big push, and that 1-2 punch. How could we say no?
Yeah, Dan Weichel, the great negotiator. Jim, come on. It's do it for the troops. Come on, Jim. And he probably wore you down.
Well, I'll tell you what, it's one of those things is that, it's something that we take a lot of pride in here at the company to be able to help and be able to offer a service to those who give so much service to us and sacrifice. And, we just always live by the lesson to much is given, much is expected. And so when you guys called me and we really finally realized what you really wanted, which was to have people umpire ready right after the camp to be able to do games, call games, start a new profession, whether it was part-time, potential career. When I finally understood that, and Greg, it took you to really explaining that. So that's where that was, really explaining that and hitting that home, is that we had no choice. There was no choice but to do this because we felt we were the only company that could do it. I recall someone inside the office when we were discussing it. I guess it was in between phone calls. How we can't do this. It's too much to expect us to do all this. At that time we were still in the up and coming, still growing, still needing money, still trying to pull things off. And so it just felt like, how can we pull this off? And I don't know how it came to me, but the feeling was, well, let's just make it a village. Let's it takes a village, and so So I started contacting all of our suppliers who I knew that cared, and basically pitched the mission of what the Wounded Warrior Umpire Academy was all about. Took a few minutes, just like it took a few minutes with you guys, explaining to me what you all were wanting, and it was an immediate. Everyone was on board. I mean, from Wilson to Diamond to Smitty to Champro to Boston Leather, who make belts, to Force 3. I'm sure I'm leaving a few others out, but they wanted to jump in and help. But the thing is that this really spoke to me more than anything was just the opportunity we had to not just give you anything, to not just give you, defects and something that had a tear in it, or something that had a scratch on it, dent on it, that kind of thing. This is really our opportunity to show, people talk a lot about the military and how much, we support the troops, and we really had an opportunity to do something, and that was, we wanted every member that came through the Wounded Warrior Umpire Academy to have the best uniform, the best outfit, the most protection, and you see it on their faces when they put it all on. They know it's not something that was just, we didn't just do a donation drive, right? And so you all send us in your old stuff, and we're going to give to them. We had a chance to do something that's really beyond what we normally do, which is retailing and selling umpire gear and apparel. So that meant a lot to us. We've loved being a part of it. We want to keep being a part of it. We appreciate all the other supporters. It's not just us. We mainly just coordinate things and fill in the blanks where you guys don't have things.
Yeah. And that's that last point is something I wanted to bring up, that just kind of let everybody know just how all in you are. It's not only, hey, here's your list, give me all this stuff. Do you remember that one year, Jim, we came up short on some stuff, and there were some things that I wanted, and all you told me was, I think it was one of the guys in your warehouse who said, hey, just give them a code. Just give them a code for $2,000. Tell them to go shopping. And sure enough, that's exactly what I did. And you guys shipped that stuff right to me at camp. I think it was a couple of years ago when we had a shoe issue, and we had sizes where people were registering with women's sizes and thinking that it was men's sizes. And we had a gap in deficiency, and you guys shipped all those shoes right to us. And we had umpiring shoes on our veterans within a couple of days. Yeah. And you gave me the boxes to ship the other ones back. I mean, it was so incredibly smooth. You guys practically, you're literally writing a blank check for us to be able to do what we do. And that's just, Jim, that's amazing.
I got something to add. Amazing. I got something to add on what you said, Jim, that's important. So cause I'm new, I've only been here. Last year I went to the camp, and then went this summer, and we umpired at Charleston, and we were at this facility, and there were games going on one field, and then there was Wounded Warrior Umpire Academy on the other field umpiring. And you could just look at us and tell the difference. We look good. We look professional. Everybody, we were dressed good. We were umpiring good. And you looked at the other field, and there was just a professionalism look and different. And we talked about it while we were there. We're like, hey, look at us. Look over there. Look at us. Look over there. And that's so right. it was a good, as somebody new to umpire, it was a incredible feeling just to know that what you just said, we were out there, we looked good, we were protected, we were doing our thing. And I appreciate that.
Yeah. So,
well, I have not heard that story. I love that story.
It was a teaching moment for everybody, and everybody was, sure. I don't even think it was one of our staff that pointed that out. Yeah. I think it was one of our veterans that was looking at, like, look at those guys over there. Look at that guy wearing a hoodie. It was ridiculous. So let me wind this thing back a little bit. We got a little ahead of ourselves.
We got excited.
We're all excited. Oh my gosh, Jim Kirk's here. So we want to know a little bit more about the man that sits behind the leading umpire gear and attire retailer worldwide. So behind every great man is a great partner. So we want to make sure you tell us all about how you met your bride, and where do you call home, and about your kids. Who's Jim Kirk, really?
Yeah, that's a good question. Do we really have that long? We go in and figure everything out. That's a tough question. I grew up. I didn't have a whole lot growing up. I grew up in one of the poorest parts of the country, in Southeast Kentucky, and probably one of the poorest neighborhoods in that area. And so I didn't have a whole lot growing up. And so I always had to work harder. I felt like I had to work harder and overcome a lot of that adversity that I had starting out. And so I've always really believed, when you look at a lot of things that I kind of, believe in, I'm always about doing your best, right? Just it's we talked this morning, Greg, about, I was wishing you luck on things and you were hoping everything was going to work out. And I was like, hey, let's just go big or go home. I mean, we got to give it full, I don't believe in doing anything mediocre. I'm just always, believe in doing your best. And I think that's just a good lesson for a lot of people that, if all else fails, do your best.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's something we learned in kindergarten. It applies when you grow up and you go to high school or go off into the military or wherever you go, or you have a job, you're an umpire. If you do your best, you stay out of trouble. I mean, you stay out of trouble. Not everything is going to go well, throughout. And so I always have had that mentality that kind of no matter what happens, you just do your best. And so, from that, I definitely am a person that I'm a work in progress. I think, when you're younger, you feel like all the adults know all the answers and they figured it all out and they've made it and they've arrived. I'm a person that's always realized that I'm not, and I'm a work in progress. I've got just as much self-doubt as anybody else. And that drives me. And so, my staff here know that I'm a voracious reader. I'm always sharing, things I learn. We're always trying to push things forward. But I think a lot of that came out of just the tough upbringing that I had, just not having a whole lot. And so to me, that is what sort of motivates me. And so one thing I really want to talk about that, because I don't want to just talk about me today. I really have been thinking a lot about what the Wounded Warriors is all about and what they're doing. Is when I think about adversity, I think about the military, right? You guys have a PhD in dealing with adversity, right? And I know how Marines are. Marines, what you guys get. If the Air Force or the Army or somebody else is given an assignment that's tougher, harder, more difficult than you all get ticked off about it. You're like, we want that. Like, give us that, right? And so, it's when I talk about my upbringing, I do it in a appreciative way. I think it helped mold me who I am, and I think daggone it, when you look at what the military has done, anybody that has gone over to Iraq or Afghanistan, any peacekeeping missions in Kosovo or wherever, whatever you've done, you have got a PhD in adversity, and daggone it, you can use that for anything. You can use that for your job you transition to. You can do that for your volunteer organization. You can do that for yourself as an umpire. So, I've been really just thinking a lot about that. I knew you were going to ask me a question about, myself and where I came from, a little bit about me. And, but I just really wanted to tie that in, to the military. Even though I've never been in the military. I do consider myself sort of the supply sergeant of the umpire world, with all of our uniform and gear. But no, I just have a great deal of respect for what you guys are doing. We love being a part of it. A little bit more about me. I went to Center College. That's where I met my wife. I'm very thankful for her. She is a rock in my support system and always has been, a lot of times more behind the scenes than anything. And I know, Greg, you and Melanie kind of the same way. I know she, just getting to know you guys, I know that's the same with you. So that's just a little bit about me and my history and where I started from. And I'm ready for some more questions. Let's go.
I'm going to throw you one off script here because you brought it up. And I would be remiss if I didn't ask this for my wife. So my wife, as many of you know, is a middle school English language arts teacher, and she is a very avid reader. So when you said that you are also an avid reader, she would want me to ask you what book is on your nightstand right now.
Oh, wow. Oh my gosh. That's a tough question. I read about 4 or 5 about a time. I'll dive into something and jump out. I will tell you this. There are some books that I have read that I just absolutely love that I think, and I'm going to share these somewhere afterward just so someone can reference them. by a gentleman named Stephen Pressfield. Does that ring a bell for you guys?
Again, Cressville?
Pressfield. Pressfield, like press release. He's the gentleman that wrote all the stories about maybe one of the most knowledgeable people in the world about Sparta and Greece and the warrior culture in that area. He's written a lot of books on that, basically historical fiction. Mm-hmm. And he's also read a lot of books on about the warrior ethos, what that's like. There's a book called Turning Pro, a book called Do the Work. I kind of reviewed those books while I was going over this talk. So I'm just going to throw out Stephen Pressfield, some of those books, because I think they apply to military, apply to umpire, and anybody that really wants to get in there and do the best they can with life.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah,
there you go.
Melanie, I was out on deployment, and she had hundreds of books during the deployment. Came back, and they were all stacked up next to the bed. And I said, "What'd you go to the thrift store or something?" She's like, and she was embarrassed, and she kind of put her head down a little bit. I was like, "No, I read all." And I kind of laughed at her a little bit, but I mean, she absolutely loves reading, and if you don't read,
you have to.
You're kind of missing out. And I wish I was a better reader. I've actually started to do some audiobooks because it feels like I can jam it into mowing the lawn and listening to my book at the same time. So yeah, but all right. So one of the I got a question that came in, and I'll throw it out to you. And I didn't really want to go down this path with you completely, but your listeners want to know. They want to know, when is the women's line of umpire protection equipment or officiating equipment? When is that line going to drop?
Oh, wow. Well, I'm really glad you asked that. It's something that has been, a need for a while. And my feeling is a lot of the issues with females is there's a lack of communication that occurs between the female umpire community and manufacturers. And so we developed about 3 months ago a female committee that's made up of one of your speakers today. Kelly Dine is on that committee, and we are providing a conduit through Zoom calls to be able to speak to manufacturers and share their issues and concerns and needs. And we've already are in place with working with a gear manufacturer on coming up with a new protective line for females. Smitty recently just launched some shirts for females that we're hoping to get in some more styles. So speaking of working in progress, that's all going to be a work in progress of making that happen. And I admitted to all those that we haven't always done our best job of advocating for the female umpire community, because we've always grown so much in what we've done. I mean, every year we've grown more than 20%, and it's almost sometimes like trying to, for me, I've got a tiger by the tail, and so we decided we're going to do a better job with that and going to help that female community. So as far as any specific dates, don't have any, but we're working on it. But definitely stay tuned. In October, I think it might be October 22nd. We're having a Zoom call, a public Zoom call with the female committee. I'm going to basically bring them on, have them talk about their issues, throw out their concerns, and talk about some things that we're doing. So we're getting there.
Yeah, that's a lot of fun. It's Jim and you and I talked about this a few years ago, where we were passing equipment out around the academy, and we got to the point where we were passing out the cup and supporter, and we skipped over a couple of females we had in the group, right. And they just kind of looked and said, it hurts when I get hit there too.
Right, sure.
And it got me thinking, and we right up and said, "You guys make anything for?"
Sure.
And sure enough, you guys sent me these pelvis protectors, and
that's right.
We got them. So that's great. That's really cool that you're doing that, and that's a great. I hope more people know about that, because it's going to be big.
Yeah, and I think that's really cool, because we about 10 feet from me and Greg right now, we have Shantoya, who's one of our female umpires, and so she's in the house here, and it's just important. It's pretty cool to see how that is growing with Kelly coming on and all that. If you do have a question about something, make sure to put it in the chat or in the comment, because this is your only chance today to get to ask Jim Kirk a question like that. So
and so here's your next one. We'll throw up. You said that you went to Center College, and that's where you met your wife. but you played at Center College. So after you played there, you got into umpiring a little bit and started working at the high school level. And you were actually back there probably with the balloon calling the balls and strike. Can you tell us, besides the balloon, I know, because I know you had a balloon, you were a balloon guy, had to be. No. So tell us, how did you get into that? And then maybe share a story with us that might be slightly embarrassing or funny. So this is your opportunity.
Yeah, I think that's a good thing about me. I think that, you know, people might look at me and see me as a successful person. I've done lots of embarrassing things along the way, just like everyone else has. And definitely my umpire career was a part of that. I will say this, I didn't mean to come on this call and be, you know, made fun of, to think that I'm so old that I had to wear a balloon. But I will tell you this, it was sort of in that time frame where there was some switch over to that, right, to the inside chest protector. And the one story I have that really has helped me throughout my career as an umpire gear and apparel supplier is the fact that the one I bought, the chest protector that I bought it from a local sporting goods company, and it was listed as an umpire chest protector. It was not. It was not an umpire chest protector, right? It was, I thought I had found the holy grail, right, of umpire chest protectors. Here I am, a rookie, and all these guys are wearing balloons and these, you know, chest protectors that look like they're bulky. And I found this low profile. I thought I looked good in it, and it felt comfortable. It didn't feel like I was wearing much at all. And I umpired all of year one, never had a problem, really probably because I never got hit. And in year two, I took a shot, and man, it was like right here. And man, it just put me on my knee. I mean, it just, you know, I'd say probably, you know, it was probably, you know, even leaving a maybe low 80 fastball. And I've always been a tough guy. And so I never thought that would happen. And then of course, the second I got hit, I realized that was not the holy grail of chest protectors. And I had gotten the wrong one. And so I always think about that when I hear guys tell me that something is protective, but I know it's not protective enough for the level they're doing, and I just know they haven't got hit yet or haven't got hit in the right spot. So I always took that with me. But you know, I only umpired for a couple of years. You know, of course, back then it wasn't what sparked me to think, you know, later on someday that I was going to, you know, run this umpire gear empire kind of a thing. And but you know, I was able to reflect on that time that I had. But one thing about that was, you know, I try to have a big league mindset about whatever I do. Everything I do, I try to have a big league mindset. That work in progress, do your best, don't get caught up when bad things happen. You know, just move on from it. But I didn't really have that when I was an umpire. I was an umpire when I was 23. I did it because I needed more money. I mean, I did it for the same reason a lot of people do it. And you know, I was just out of college. My wife wanted to go back and get her teaching certificate. So she's a teacher just like your wife, Greg, elementary school. But she went back for that, of course, so that cost money to go to college. And because of that, it took away from opportunities for her to work at the time. So we needed more money. I mean, we needed to at that time. And so I worked high school baseball, and you know, I was a really good hitter in college. And so I always felt like my strike zone was really good right off the bat. And I felt that way. But I just didn't really have that big league mindset yet. Right. And that mindset was, you know, when you're a player and you have success, you know, everybody says, great job. Hey, you got a great game, right? Great hit. You know, you guys, you know where I'm going with this, right? And I remember I had probably the biggest game that I had been given. I think it was a district game between the two district rivals. And I felt pretty great that here I'm in my second year and I had been given a game of that level already. And so that was it's kind of a nice accomplishment. And I prepared myself. I got in the rule book a little bit more before the game, just to touch on some things I was a little bit not 100% sure about. Got myself mentally prepared, went out, and I just crushed it. I mean, I killed that game. I mean, I was all over it. I felt my strike zone was just killer. Everything else was just super. But the whole game, I'm getting chirped here, chirped there. I had to warn the dugouts, you know, and then, but I knew I killed that game. And then I'm walking off the field, and people are taunting me off the field, right? And I was crushed. I mean, I crushed the game, but it crushed me. I was not mature enough and did not have the professional mindset enough to be able to handle that at that time. And so it really kind of turned me off from umpiring. And I always remember that. And I kind of regret that. And there's part of me that regrets kind of telling the story. Here I am. I'm the, I run attire.com, and we do all this great stuff. And I do a lot of things in the umpire community, but I quit. I quit as an umpire. And so, but that's always stuck with me is I wish someone had told me that. And that's why I tell the story.
Absolutely.
I tell the story because I want people to understand you don't have to, be liked to be a pro, right? To have a big league mindset, you have to know you did your job, you did it well, and you're going to get, half the people all the time are going to be at least upset with you. And I think that's a mindset to have, in all walks of life. And I think about that when I think about the military, because, you guys like you, Matt, especially, who've come in and you've started umpiring and now you're doing some things. With what you all have done, through the adversity you've gone through in the military and the sacrifices you make, you if anybody can hold your head high and handle that and have that professional mindset.
Yeah.
And that's why I think so much that, that people who have been in the military, whether they've been in it and gotten out, or they've gone through the Wounded Warrior Umpire Academy, of anybody, you can have that big league mindset because you've already sacrificed so much and done so much.
Yeah. I mean, you just hit on, about 1,000 great points on that. I got, have goals and your big league mindset. I mean, that's,
learn
there's a
through
lot.
your experiences.
Yeah,
I mean, that's really
there.
the truth.
Yeah. And, so we've got about 10 minutes here, but I really want to talk about something that probably, and I think you've shared with me before, that has kind of defined who you are, kind of helped mold your character a little bit. But, when you're not calling balls and strikes after college, you actually took a job with the state of Kentucky as a vocational rehabilitation counselor. And that, when I first learned of that immediately spoke to me about the man that Jim Kirk really is. And it was just an awesome feeling. So I want to learn a little bit about that experience and what kind of role that played on your life.
Well, that's another, we could do a series. I tell you what, one episode is going to be all the embarrassing moments that Jim Kirk had when he umpired. That could be a whole series. Yeah. And why he didn't make it, why he didn't cut it. But no, this was really an interesting story because when I went to college, I wasn't really sure what I was going to do with my life. And didn't have it all figured out from the start. But I really liked psychology, so I took psychology courses and ended up basically majoring in that. And so when I got out, I really had this goal that I wanted to be a psychologist. I mean, really, my goal was I wanted to be a marriage and family counselor. That might sound odd, but it's what my goal was. I feel like I do some of that now through the office, dealing with staff. But
I got a psychology degree and I got a counseling degree and that. So we're seeking here.
Hey, all right. Hey, me and you. I love it. And now look what you're doing. You're doing Zoom calls
exactly
for the summit.
I'm
look at you, right?
That's right.
You're making it right. So my goal was I was wanting to give a little bit back to the community that I felt had given me so much growing up, and I felt there was such a need there. And so I was going to do some type of work, social work, counseling work, something. And this job opportunity opened up called a vocational rehabilitation counselor. And I didn't even know what it was. We didn't talk about that in our classes at school. And when people talk about what they sometimes say for short is a rehab counselor, they think that means drug and alcohol counseling.
Yeah, right.
And it's not what it is. That's not what it is. It's all about helping individuals who have some type of disability. Could be any type of disability. Could be back injury. Could be amputation. Could be multiple sclerosis. Could be a mental disability. Could be a head injury. And it's about taking that person and helping them navigate through into a profession or a career that they can do and that they want to do. So we find out what the limitations are through the disability, but then we find out what the strengths are and we find out what the interests are. And that counselor job is all about helping not only figure that out, but help them through that process. And so I would have people who were on my caseload for years. I mean, we would have people who may have a back injury from a construction job and realize they were smart enough and dedicated enough to go to school to be a teacher. And so we would, counsel them and develop a plan. And the program that we were a part of would help pay for that, and we would do that. A couple of stories that stick out to me, just to give a little bit of a kind of examples of what that is. I had a gentleman who had multiple sclerosis, and so basically that led him to be in a wheelchair, and he couldn't do his job anymore. So what we ended up doing was we did a lot of in-home accommodations where he could even be able to get ready in the morning. Right? It's one thing you sometimes don't realize. It's not just about the job. You've got to be able to get ready for the job. Yeah. We helped him with a van for his, pay for a van and get him in his workplace setting, do accommodations. We provided support. We talked to, his boss, made him understood some of the issues that he may have from a disability and all that. And we ended up getting him a job with the Social Security Administration. He retired from there. Wow. And I still spoke to him on a regular basis, and he had always thanked me for all the work that I did. But that was somebody that was really more involved, because in that job, you had to learn so much, and it was such a great education for me, because you had to learn about professions and the workplace and people and personalities. And when you think about what I do today, there's a lot of that in it, right? I hire people, we have goals for people, people have their own weaknesses and own strengths, and we try to get people into the right place, in the workplace. Same thing with with umpires. I mean, it's when a lot of things we would do when I worked as a vocational rehabilitation counselor is we would make sure that people got their uniforms they needed, they looked the part. A lot of times we would pay for that uniform, provide that uniform, and so in some ways it's really interesting how it becomes full circle with a lot of things we're doing with the Wounded Warrior Umpire Academy. Right, we're taking people who have lots of strengths, lots of abilities, and they already have the PhD in dealing with adversity, which is what umpires have to do. And so all we're doing is providing that uniform, and they're good. And you guys are providing that training, and all of that gets people good to go. Yeah. And so, so that's just sort of, the history of that. I recall another little story was, and this, I remember this story because it was such a little thing that made such a big difference. I was working with a student that was interested in welding, and he was really becoming a really good welder, but he struggled with a glove. He had a hand deformity, right? So his hand, didn't have fingers, basically didn't have fingers on his hand, right? And so, he had to be able to have a glove, and all the gloves that he had were always, the fingers were too long. And so, so we basically had to try to, solve something. And I recall just taking him one day into I think it was maybe a shoe shop or shoe repair shop or something with some basic welding gloves. And we got his hand out, and we worked with the shoe repair person, and we got him some gloves that he could use. And of course, when you're a welder, you go through gloves all the time. And so, so they, sparked up a friendship, and now he knew where to go to get his gloves, and he got a sword. And that's all he needed. That's all he needed. He had one little disability, but it didn't keep him from what he needed to do. And I did one little thing, or we did one little thing. And so some of that stuff has really stuck with me. And I think that's the thing that I find so interesting is, we don't have to take an old job that seems so different than what we're doing, and just kind of throw that out the window and say that's not a part of who we were. And, and I feel that way too with what I hear, what military people who come home, come back. I know that it's a big transition for a lot of people, but you don't have to throw that away. There's so much from that you have learned and gotten. And I keep mentioning the PhD in adversity, and so I feel that way with you guys and the Wounded Warriors, and you don't, just because you come back and maybe you're not in the military anymore, or you're not on being deployed somewhere right now. You've still learned so much and done so much, and you could use that in so many different ways to impact the world around you, even if it's just in a little way. And so, and I think that's another thing too. I think one thing I always think about is how much a little thing, like what you all told me today, the story I didn't even know about how good you guys looked at the tournament. You do something that makes an impact, but you don't realize just how much of an impact it ends up making. So from wherever you are, no matter what you're doing, whether you're just an umpire, you have a job doing something, or anything else, I mean, you can always, you've got your sphere of influence around you, you can make that impact. And that's just hopefully that's given you guys a good sense of how I look at the world and how I go about doing things.
Yeah, we had one of our alumni actually had texted in as you were talking about, dealing with, trying to help somebody that's been diagnosed with MS. And one of the comments was, hey, not only are you trying to help prepare them for the day to get to go to work, but you're also trying to manage and prepare for what is going to be taken away from you down the road as that disease starts
Right.
to get worse.
Absolutely.
I mean, there's just compounding issues there. And so it's, much like what we try to do at the Academy, we, that you're a part of now is, we try to bring people in and it's not a one-time deal. It's a lifelong membership, and we try to help you throughout. And it's amazing that point of your life kind of, giving back service of others kind of help define your character, and probably, in my opinion, maybe one of the founding reasons on how you became so successful. So I applaud you for that work. That's not work people at that age, right out of
Mm-hmm.
would
Yeah.
would want.
I ended up doing that job for 7 years. My goal was to give back about 2 or 3 years and go off and get my master's degree in psychology and become that great marriage and family counselor.
Right.
And I ended up liking the job so much that I ended up working in it longer, and then just got a taste for business and a taste for the internet, and just sort of ended up changing careers and started working on a master's in business administration, and came across this wonderful thing called the internet that I thought, wow, what a great impact I can make, even greater through being able to reach more people. And so things fell in place, later on, to where there was this whole, full circle with the whole umpire gear and apparel thing, and was able to use that too. So to me, I mean, it's and my wife always talks about there's always this, quilt or patchwork of things that are in your life that create the fabric of who you are. And I really believe that's the case. So no matter, who you are, and whoever's listening out there right now, no matter what you've done, whether you've been in the military, you've not been in the military, you've taken this route or that route, there's something that you've done that can help you toward making an impact toward others. I truly believe that.
Yeah, Jim, you're an amazing guy.
Yeah.
And I'm so thankful not only to have you as a partner with the WWUA, but I think most people know that we offered you a spot on our board this year, and ever since you've joined the board, you've been a mover and a shaker, and you're bringing up new, fresh ideas, and you're really taking us to that next level. And I can't thank you enough for that. I mean, I really wish we could sit here on the call with you for a couple of hours. You know, you said a series. We need to have Jim Kirk series.
Yeah, that's right. Well,
episode 2.
I told Greg, I said, when we were scheduling this out, I said, Greg, you don't know how fast 40 minutes is going to go.
Oh, I know.
And I'm like, you want to keep on, that's Siri talking
Somebody's
to us. What in the
talking.
world? But you want to, 40 minutes, you think, oh, we got all that time. How are we going to fill it? No, it's over. And we could go on and do this over and over for hours here.
Yeah.
And we're at the
Do
end.
we have 2 minutes so I can tell a story?
Yes, sir. I was going to give you a parting shot, so please.
Yes. Nice. Well, there's a story that I live by, and I share with the staff all the time, and they hear it, and it's something that I want people to hear, especially your veterans that are on the call. And that is the story of the prize winning horse. Okay. There's been all kinds of different ways to tell the story. It's been told many different ways for hundreds of years, and we live by it. We live by it as a family. We live by it, at the staff. There was a question you were going to ask me about, what kind of scary situations have you got in that let's say I'm trying to read it, that your persistence and fortitude helps you to overcome. Right. And so while we can't get it, that'll be for another episode. The story will tell you how that is. Right. And so there was a prize winning horse, every year won the prize. And so this year there's another, it came up again. The person that owned the horse brought the horse to the fair. The fair gave the prize a horse. Gave the horse a prize. And so all the villagers came to the man that owned the horse and said, wow, you just got such a great horse. You won again. And the horse owner said, who knows what's good or what's bad? And so a lot of people were jealous of the horse, though, and they came and stole the horse. And so the people in the community, in the village, found out that the horse had been stolen, and they came to the villager and said, oh, how terrible this is that your horse has been stolen, your prize-winning horse. And the villager said, who knows what's good or what's bad? So a few weeks later, in the middle of the night, lots of stomping going around outside. And we find out the horse has come back. He's such a great horse. He was able to break out of where he was or she was, and a lot of other horses came with him. And so now this villager has a lot of horses. And so all the villagers came and said, hey, wow, how wonderful this is that you now own all these horses. And so same thing, who knows what's good or what's bad? And so the villager's son had to break a few of these horses, right? Had to teach them how to ride and all that. And in trying to do so, broke his leg. Was thrown off, broke his leg. Next day, villagers found out about it, came and talked to the owner of the horse and said, oh, we're so sorry this happened. This is terrible that your son has broken his leg. So who knows what's good or what's bad? And so so the next day, there was an outbreak, a skirmish that had broken out, and they were looking for some people to come and fight, in this skirmish that had broken out. And there was a place where a lot of people were going to die. And so that they came through looking for people, looking for able-bodied people to find, to be able to carry this out. But but of course, as you know, the son was not able to go because he had broken his leg. So who knows what's good or bad? And so when you're going through your life and you're doing things, and no matter where you are, no matter what happens, no matter how crappy of a day you have, you just never know what's good or what's bad, and what might take you into a different world, a different mindset. So, and I've had a lot of things happen in my life that seemed like they were bad, but they ended up being good. And so I think if we can have that mindset with everything that we do, I think we can all make this a better place.
Absolutely.
I like it. There's one question that we had.
Yeah, we can
answer this.
I can throw this out to you real quick. So somebody had asked if the MLB umpires actually buy the same gear that we see in your store, or are they like the players and they have special items that they can choose from?
No, I'm not really sure. Can you ask that one more time? Rephrase that maybe? Yeah.
So what the question is the same umpire equipment and jerseys and everything that you have there that you sell at umpire.com. Do the MLB umpires actually wear the same stuff?
Oh, wow. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's something that we want to be able to give, right? We want the people to have the opportunity to have the best. And so anytime there is something that's being worn or done or at the major league level, we want to try to get it on people, and we do what we can to do that. And that includes some of the new things on the market today, some of the skull caps that are meant to provide more protection, for people out there. So yeah, absolutely. We have a place on our website under feature called MLB Collection. You can click on that. I think we have 48 items that you can also see on the MLB umpires as well. So that's a great question.
And kind of a segue. I know this will take another second.
But, that's why I thought it was a good one. So go ahead.
But I think umpire.com is also the official supplier of minor league baseball. Is that right?
That's correct. Since 2012, I think.
Well, there you go.
That's
so
right.
Do they wear it? Absolutely, they wear it.
Yeah, absolutely. So hey, next prize giveaway is from Umpire.
Yeah, and Jim has graciously donated a $50 gift certificate to go on a shopping spree at umpire.com. So we'll be coming up with a question. Jim, you're welcome to stay on. We'll go ahead and present the question, and you can't give away the answer though. So the question that we're going to pose, and this is the world according to Mr. Jim Kirk.
Yeah.
And the question is, oh, by the way, and before I pose that question, the comment came in that some of you guys are on a delay, and it might be unfair in how you're able to respond. So we're going to do an algorithm over here and figure out who the winner is going to be. So that way it's not actually the first one that pops in. We're taking a look at all three different feeds, and we'll try to make it as fair as we possibly can in determining winner. So when we come back from the break, we'll announce the winner. But the question is, according to Jim Kirk, what is the subject that veterans have a PhD in? So if you can be the first to, or if you can come up on our chats and tell us what that answer is, we'll announce the winner just after the break. Jim, thank you so much for spending some time with us this morning. I know you'll be with us all day, and we're just going to have a blast. So, but I appreciate all your words of wisdom and spending some time with us this morning.
Okay, and we'll announce the winner when we come back. Let's take a quick break, and we'll be right back.
All right. Thanks, Jim.
Thanks, Jim.